Stops. All right, we're on. We were just talking about how two very productive humans are addicted to video games.
Yeah.
We're kicking that addiction, though. We're getting focused. We're getting locked in.
Yeah.
Adrian, thanks for being here, man. I'm really glad that you took some time out of a day off from school.
No, thank you for having me, though.
And really, one of the first things I wrote down here, just so I don't forget the things I want to talk about, is you're a busy guy.
Yeah.
I mean, I caught wind of this graduation situation at Mohave through the grapevine of social media, and so I reached out, and you got Slaborama you're busy with, you got soccer, you got school, student body president, like, you're a pretty busy guy.
Yeah. I mean, as for like what I'm kind of involved with, student body president at Mohave, I do 3 varsity sports. I got swim, I got soccer, I got track, and then, you know, other clubs I'm involved with, just, you know, like the National Honor Society, I got Interact, and then outside of school, I have my own business going on. I do a photo booth business, kind of just under my mom. It's called Desert Sun Photo Booths. And so that, you know, it's a good way to get me involved in just my community in general, also generate some money for college. And then outside, and this is more to like my future, because I want to, when I go to college, I want to study political science. I'm working currently in the Governor's Youth Commission, so I'll go down quarterly to the state capitol, and we'll have our quarterly meetings there. And then hopefully next meeting, we're supposed to be able to meet the governor. So that'll be pretty crazy.
Tell her a couple things for me. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'll make sure to I'll plug you guys.
We won't talk. That's another story. It's another story. Anyway.
No, yeah.
So I'm sure that a lot of that led to kind of taking action here. So for those who don't know, I'm going to give you the outside rundown. You give me the real world rundown.
Okay.
Due to time constraints, they eliminated all but one student speech from the graduation.
Yes.
Including the valedictorians.
Yes.
And that, of course, really upset a lot of folks who worked really hard to be a part of that. Tell me a little bit about it from your perspective. Is that accurate? And tell me about how that message was delivered to you guys.
Okay, well, we found out at our class meeting on Wednesday, they were kind of just announcing certain things, just kind of like certain recognitions that were going.
Slipped it in there?
Kind of. It was sort of kind of like a casual trying to slip in, trying to ease it in a little bit. And then this is when they announced that, hey, we're taking away all graduation speeches, and it is just going to be the one committee-chosen speaker that is going to get an 8 to 10-minute speech. And this can be anybody from the entire class. So very well could have been, you know, one of the valedictorians, could have been me, could have been our senior class president. But this could have been any person out of our class. And then from there, the response was not taken the best. I think I heard a couple boos in our crowd.
Love a good boo.
And it was just because I think it was more like, it's very disheartening to hear from, you know, just especially our principal and just our admin in general, that, you know, the people that have worked so incredibly hard for, you know, graduation and for our speeches, just for it to be kind of taken away like that was kind of just like, it meant that all of our hard work and that recognition was just, you know, an optional thing. And
who
it wasn't
normally
deserved.
gives speeches at a graduation? What students, I guess?
Usually it would be the valedictorian, and sometimes they'll have a salutatorian. It just depends on the class. And then they'll always have the student body president and the senior class president speeches.
Okay.
And then sometimes, from what I know, the class, like the student council, senior class, will pick a teacher to speak at graduation as well. I think last year it was Mr. Drexler.
Yeah, I was there for that.
Yeah, it was. It was.
I was there for that.
You know, I loved all the student speeches. It's always been a keystone of the graduation.
So
it's what they go for.
Were there any early on discussions, or I mean, you're talking about your student leadership at the school, right?
Yeah.
Probably accessible, involved in groups, reasonable kids. Was there any communication saying, "Hey guys, we gotta, this graduation's too long"? Mm-hmm. Did they come to you guys and start that conversation, or how did it come about that was the decision?
As much as I would love to say that they did reach out to us and kind of come to a consensus, this kind of just got sprung on top of us by our principal. And from what I know, this was told from her by our superintendent, Dr. Richards, and that the problem was that graduation was too long. And then I'm not sure how the idea came about that speeches was the best way to kind of, make sure graduation is a lot smoother and a lot shorter. But then they just came to us during the class meeting, like I said, and basically told us that we weren't getting our speeches anymore. There was never a prior discussion saying, hey guys, graduation is too long, we need to figure out some sort of idea. It was kind of just like, hey, you guys aren't getting your speeches anymore because graduation is too long.
Yeah. Well, listen, I'm sure it is long. Also, what's the graduating class going to be? It's a few hundred kids, right? How fast can you really make it?
We are the biggest class at our school. I think we have 275 kids.
Yeah.
So we're a bit bigger than all the other classes. I think this year graduation is going to be starting at 4. Last year was at 5. So again, taking it back that extra hour will hopefully get people out before, maybe they have dinner reservations and stuff like that. So I think
I feel like graduation is their plans on those nights, right? I mean,
yeah.
What is bigger on your senior's graduation night than graduating?
I wouldn't say anything, honestly. I mean, I'm
like
not
the excuse
too sure.
of people got stuff to do. Like that is what they're there to do.
Yeah.
We have a chatter saying too many students? ?
I mean, I really wouldn't say that having too many students would really be the issue, especially considering that I feel like a lot of the parents are going to go see their students.
Yeah. I mean, the whole point is to graduate students. So, like, I understand the thought. However, man, if you had a great class, graduate 300 kids, it takes a little longer. It's a good problem to have.
I think having that many kids graduate is, like you said, a good problem to have. And having those kids to, recognize, having 3 valedictorians, having a student body president, having a senior class president willing to get up there and give their speeches.
My graduation was on the football field at the high school. It was like 105 degrees.
Exactly.
It was brutal. Brutal. We went to the river that day. We were sunburnt. We all had sandals on. We were sweating the whole time.
That's bullhead, though. I mean,
it was rough. And then we spent our whole weights class that year cleaning up the football field. Like, that was a disaster. But anyway, don't let me. I'm gonna try my best not to reminisce about. A few years ago.
No, you're all good. I mean,
a few years ago, many years ago.
I mean, and then by the time when I talked to my other valedictorians and the senior class president, we were all kind of just discussing, what's our next move here? I mean, it's kind of hard to just talk to our principal and be like,
hey, we don't like this.
Yeah.
Right.
So we did reach out, we did send emails, but by then we already had the plan in motion of getting a petition together, getting signatures together, and sort of bringing this to our school board.
And what was your principal's initial reaction? I mean, she's not an unreasonable lady.
Yeah, no,
she's
not by any means.
She's student-based, like she gets it. What was her initial? Was she understanding?
No, I think all credit to her, my principal especially, because she's probably arguably the best principal that I've had in my 4.
Well, you've had a lot to choose from.
And I've had like 4 different principals. So I would say that she is very, very, very understandable, especially when it comes to students, because I think she just wants to see us succeed in every way possible. And she wants, one thing that she did discuss with me is getting that achievement for all, which like Crushed promotes. So I completely understand, her point of view in wanting to get other students the opportunity to get up there and speak.
They did for 4 years.
So, I think I completely understood why, in a way, she wanted to give the opportunity to other kids in general. And I think when we kind of came to the problem after the fact of the board meeting and everything, she was completely understandable and just, she wants us to, get our recognition that she understands that we deserve, but also give that recognition to other students that maybe didn't get that same opportunity and being in those leadership positions and taking those honor classes and stuff like that.
Right. Well, that is a great other option and a very optimistic way to look at that. And I will say you guys went about the right way. You spoke up. You started a petition, which I believe the petition doesn't need to exist anymore because you guys are getting this resolved.
Yes.
So if you have that picture of the petition, but you got over 900 signatures, right?
Yeah, 972. 972 signatures.
As of that screenshot, that's not a live image, but
by the time of our board meeting, I think we were at 550. And then after the fact, you know, my mom being who she is, she definitely put this on blast.
Good
And
mom.
So we got over basically 900 signatures by that point.
You know what's really interesting is that's how I heard about it, was through your mom on Facebook.
Yeah.
Which is where I get my news from, which is super reliable. But what I did do is I flipped through the comments, which I don't normally recommend, and it seemed like there's a pretty general agreement that, you know, changing a graduation tradition this way didn't go over well. I mean, were there any people that really didn't want it to be the other way?
That wanted to.
That wanted the one speech of the elected person, or?
None that I really spoke to. I think some people that, you know, obviously were like, other students in my class were like, hey, you know, I kind of want to give a speech. You know, I completely agree with the fact that, you know, I think other students should get the opportunity to speak. And that's something that we discussed with Ms. Jean. We even came to consensus with that us, the student body president, and then senior class president, valedictorians, we're going to get our speeches back. And we were going to have the additional speech of the student speaker that was still going to get chosen by Ms. G and I think the English department and committee, that's still going to get the opportunity to speak out to their class that, you know, let's say has a great story to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. So Jeff's telling us that we do have some chats. Jeff, we're going to get to those in a second. Do you have that? So you actually gave a great speech too, but we actually have the leading valedictorian went to the school board meeting.
Yeah, probably one of my, I would say my close friend and one of the closest people during this movement of trying to get this overturned. She got over like 200, I think, or maybe 300 in-person signatures just going around to everybody at our school and just speaking out about this, of trying to get this overturned. And then she went with me and was the other person to speak out about this at the board meeting.
So I think we have that speech, Jeff, and I think you have the audio. We may not.
Ready?
Alvarez. Good evening. I would like to start with an
We'll let everybody
introduction.
listen to
My name is
this.
Cassidy Alvarez, and I'm currently a senior at Mohave. I'm an active member of my community, and I value my studies above everything else. I hold a 4.0 GPA with all advanced courses, and I'm on track to becoming one of the valedictorians at Mohave.
I can cheat. I can listen to the audio on my phone.
Good evening. I would like to start with an introduction. My name is Cassidy Alvarez, and I'm currently a senior at Mohave. I'm an active member of my community, and I value my studies above everything else. I hold a 4.0 GPA with all advanced courses, and I'm on track to becoming one of the valedictorians at Mohave.
Oh yeah.
In my
We're a couple
freshman year,
seconds behind.
I watched both of my older sisters walk the same graduation stage
see
and
me,
present their valedictorian
I think
speeches. And as a young student, I wanted nothing more than to be just like them. In my freshman year English class, I was told that if I signed the honors contract and maintained every standard outlined, I would be named one of the valedictorians and granted a speech at my graduation. Again, for years, I watched senior classes sign the same exact contract I did, meeting its expectations and being awarded with the same speech I was promised. So you can imagine in my senior year, my surprise when I was told that I would not be granted my promised valedictorian speech. I strongly believe that the Mohave High School administration has a responsibility to honor its commitments to its students. This isn't just about the removed student speakers, it's about the integrity and consistency that this decision offers to its community. To emphasize the importance of honoring the student speakers, we wanted to make sure that we were coming to the board as more than just 5 students who are complaining about speeches. Together, we peacefully organized the petition. Currently, this petition has 542 signatures of verified people who agree with us and want to see student speakers at graduation. This demonstrates that the concern extends beyond individual students and reflects the voices of families, alumni, current educators, and community members. I hope you understand that this is not just the request of one valedictorian, but the collective voice of our senior class and community. So I come to you with not only facts, but solutions. Previously, senior speakers were granted a 10-minute period for each speech. To save time, we can offer each speaker a shortened 2 to 3 minute time period instead. This condenses speeches while also giving each speaker the spotlight they deserve. Additionally, we can start the ceremony earlier, so participants aren't getting out of the graduation so late in the day, leaving more room for family and friends. Or, we do not have to shorten the one day of the year that the class of 2026 gets to honor their accomplishment. Valedictorian or not, this is one of the most important days of our lives. It marks the end of our childhood and our first step into adulthood. Student speeches do not delay the graduation, they define it. We respectfully ask the board to reconsider this decision and allow student voices to remain a part of this day that celebrates the class of 2026. We are not asking the board to add more time onto our graduation, but we are asking you to preserve a long-standing tradition of honoring the well-deserved student speakers. I hope you can take our request into serious consideration. Thank you.
Thank you.
So obviously, very, very powerful words. Like I said, I saw your speech. What's the young lady's name again? One more time.
Cassidy Alvarez.
Cassidy Alvarez. Great job, and a lot of very great, very, very, very powerful points. What was the reception at the board meeting? What was the reception? People in the room. You know, I've been to a few board meetings. Not a good time. I've been to a few board meetings,
Yeah.
and then everybody like breaks, and then they have this very formal thing, and everybody meanders around and kind of chats, and that's where you kind of get the real barometer of things. What was the feedback you got?
I mean, immediately, I could see it on especially our superintendent's face that he was listening to us very thoroughly, I would say. I think he respected the fact that we were coming up to the school board and speaking our mind and giving our opinion, and just in a way that was well-mannered as well, but also in a way that we were speaking directly to them, and that this is something you guys are taking away from us, who have worked, let's say, our entire lives for. You don't, I mean, especially being a valedictorian, you don't just wake up one day saying, I'm going to get a 4.0 GPA and take all honors classes.
I know, I tried. We all wanted to.
It is something
We all
that,
wish we could.
you work for your entire life, and you don't stop with. It's not something you just, again, you wake up with one day and you're going to get a 4.0 and you're going to get all A's and stuff like that.
Well, and especially nowadays, we did our ACES Awards, and we went to around these schools, and kids are getting 4.0 plus.
Yeah.
They're getting college classes, honors classes. They're getting, it's not just, I'm a good student. I did pretty good.
Yeah.
It's an extremely next level commitment.
Especially now. I mean, with our class being the last class with unweighted GPAs, so with the next classes having weighted GPAs. Weighted GPAs are classes with, kids that are taking AP classes, honor classes. Though their A's are going to count for a lot more. I think it's going to be on a 5.0 scale instead of 4.0.
Yeah.
So
We went down to those ACES interviews one time, and the kid's like, I got a 4.5 GPA.
Exactly, yeah.
And I looked at the people in the thing, and I was like, how?
Exactly. I mean, it's pretty crazy to think about. I mean, these are kids that have worked, above and beyond, especially and I think with the next up-and-coming classes that are going to have weighted GPAs, there's only going to be one spot for a valedictorian.
Right.
Because with weighted GPAs, it's a lot harder to create, multiple valedictorians, because you're having one kid that's taking the hardest classes and getting the most A's as much as possible.
Yeah.
So you're going to have that one spot. It's a much harder thing to do. And even just having 3 valedictorians itself, that's a lot of work to be put in to get there in that spot in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I had seen a lot of folks kind of commenting. It was really odd. It was like everyone was very quick to defend the school board to let everyone know it wasn't their decision, right? But I also think it's important that people understand the school board needs to gather all these decisions and experiences and student feedback, parent feedback, and make their decisions moving forward accordingly. The school board, that is what their job is. You know what I mean? They did not make that decision by any stretch. But it's very important that you are able to go there and voice it to the people that make the decisions. And that's where I don't think people fully understand what the school board does.
Yeah, I mean, I had, because I think after the school board meeting was done, I went over there to the school board members and to our superintendent. I shook hands, being a good sport and all and everything. So.
It's because you must have had good coaches teach you that's the right way to do it.
I mean, look right there. I shook their hands, and they were the general consensus was that they didn't make this decision, but they stood with my message and Cassidy's message, and understanding where we were coming from, and they wanted to get this resolved just as much as we did.
Good. I'll give you my general thoughts. It is good that you can go and speak and they listen. And that is one of the first steps of getting things moving. And I'll tell you, there was a time where people were afraid to go talk in front of the board.
Yeah.
And it's good that we have a board that you can actually talk to and move things without fear of repercussions.
Exactly.
It's a healthy way to go about it. It's why it's set up that way. And I'm glad that you guys went about it the right way and got this thing reversed.
I mean,
so.
That's what a few of our teachers were telling us, because we're going around to other people and saying, getting their ideas and saying, hey, maybe it's just us that are thinking that this is an issue that maybe graduation really is too long. Maybe other teachers are having that same issue, that they don't want to be there for like that 5 or 6 hours at graduation. So when we're going around, they're like, no, we completely agree that you guys deserve your speeches. And they're telling us that, like, you guys need to go to the board and speak there, because it's one thing for teachers to complain, but it is another thing for parents and students to go up there and have a well-mannered speech and have a conversation with those board members, with the superintendent, about and just expressing your opinion in a way that is going to actually speak to them and their emotions and their feelings, and what they're actually going to decide on.
I'm trying. I mean, I think they've all had students go through there. Maybe not Mohave specifically, but they've had students who graduate. They know what that means to people. So it's not like they're unaware. So maybe it just needs one of those things to shed a little light on. Or listen, the reality is sometimes people make bad decisions. And it's good that you get a chance to reverse course. You know what I mean?
I mean, I am very, very, very grateful that this was not something that was dragged out, and that this is something that got solved very, very quickly. And then we even got a better solution out of it. We even got that committee chosen speech and someone out in our class that can have the opportunity to give a speech with their story. And it's not just going to be, the valedictorian, the student body president, the senior class president that actually get to speak. It's going to be another person with another story to tell.
Now, you guys aren't making that decision yet, right?
Of
the other person?
No. We don't. I believe we are going to be able to have an opinion on who gets to speak, but not necessarily choose on who's going to get to speak. I think that's going to be happening in late February, if I remember what she had told me.
Early in the semester, so it makes sense, right? That's not abnormal.
So there's still time.
Yeah. Do you have an idea of like what, because you mentioned you could have been the person selected by that committee, could have been the valedictorian. Do you guys have any, because obviously you've probably talked more about graduation because of this than you would have normally.
Well, that's for sure.
Have you guys put any thought to that when you thought that was your option? Like, what kind of person were you looking for?
Now more than ever, I think it is important to find somebody who isn't necessarily in those leadership positions, isn't taking all those honors classes. That's my personal opinion. I think we should find somebody who does have a certain story to tell that speaks to not just those people that did have those sleepless nights of working hard on studying, but maybe those sleepless nights of having a late night job. Somebody who's trying to support their family. Someone that has a different story to tell, but still had those same struggles.
We had talked a little bit, I think, before we started recording. If not, this would be super redundant. I coached football for a long time, youth up to high school, and some of the kids I was most proud of were not honor students. They were kids who had a much harder path just to graduate, and we talked about using my son as an example. I expected him to graduate. Like, it wasn't an option. I told him that was like, son, graduating is like breathing air. If you aren't doing that, you got bigger problems, and you're not going to like coming home. So he knew what the expectation was. And, what I always experience is not everyone had a dad at home telling them, I expect you to graduate. Not all of them had the same house to go home to every year. And so those guys who even graduated, and to give, to have an opportunity to give one of those guys who ended up going through the high school experience and coming out of it a person that we want to feature, giving them a chance to speak would be really cool.
Yeah, that's just my personal opinion. Maybe other people have differing opinions. Maybe we should give it to somebody who is in other leadership positions, still a big figure at Mohave. But I think it is important to shed light on places that, obviously don't get that same moment to shine, that same just opportunity in general, and giving that opportunity to someone that does have that same work but just in a different area. I think it's very important because I think it's showing that every person has a different story to tell, but that same work is still being put in.
Yeah. So we'll jump in some of these comments, see if there's any. We don't want to bother reading. I'm angry, but if anybody has any questions, by all means. What did you learn from this experience?
I think the biggest thing was, voices, especially student voices, have a lot of power, a lot more than I think that we are, given to learn. That we are, especially I think starting out as a student leader, you believe that you have the power to change things, but not on that sort of level. And so I think when we started really getting a lot of momentum with a lot of signatures and a lot of people reconciling with our movement, it was like, wow, this is really something is really being created here. A movement is being started, and it showed me, the village that's behind me and the community that's behind me, and that how much power my voice truly does have, and then finding that sort of community in general is it's very, very, very important. And
Yep.
It means a lot to me in general.
Yep.
We got the comments up top if you want to read them.
Oh, give us a second. We'll get there.
Okay. When you're ready, we got them.
Yeah. So, and I want to go. We're going to go off track just a hair before we get to these comments. You had a kind of a good leader ahead of you and your brother.
Yeah.
So I knew your brother.
Yes. I think many people do.
And
Who is he?
what's that?
Who is he?
Tell us about your
Okay.
brother a little
Tell
bit.
us who your brother is.
I'll give Gabriel a little shout out. My older brother is Gabriel Vollaire. He graduated 2022 as a student body president as
Always
well.
a little shade when you talk about the brother,
I mean, I can't give him all the credit. But I will give it to him when it's deserved. He was the valedictorian and student body president, and he graduated 2022, and he went to Notre Dame on a full ride scholarship. And now he's graduating with me, basically, because we're 4 years apart. And so he's graduating, and he's going to be going to law school sometime, I think, either his fall or spring of next year. Right now, I'm going to kind of put his business a little bit out there. He's making music, actually, and as his brother, I will tell him when it sucks, but it's really, really, really good. I would say as me in general, I love listening to music. I think that's probably my favorite thing to do when I get in my car or when I'm starting out my day. And, not just because he's my older brother, but he's really good, and I'm glad that he's found something that he's passionate about.
Yeah.
But I also know that he's an incredibly, incredibly, incredibly smart person. I mean, this is the same person that got a 168 on his LSATs. And I know he has a ton of doors open for him, and I know he has a ton of things that he could do. And so I know he's a smart person. I know he's going to make the right decision in his life. And I think that's always been, a good role model to be looking up to, especially because seeing him so confident in his decisions that he makes with his life, it's given me a lot of free will to kind of just, this is the decision that I'm going to make, this is the path I'm going to take, and this is what I know is right for me.
I coached your brother in basketball, and he's actually a pretty talented basketball player. Unfortunately, he's just not, 6'5". So
yeah, it's sad.
It's an uphill battle we all face. But I can't remember what year it was. Did he graduate with Cotter? Or was he younger than him?
No. They graduated the same year, I believe.
Did they?
Yeah.
So we're coaching this basketball team. They were all right. They had some talent. We had a COVID year, which was a disaster.
Yeah.
Played in masks. Like, it was rough. And, and as I get to know people and coaching, over time I realized those two are the brains of the operation. I mean, those two, they were schemers. Like, they were sharp, and they both got, probably limited minutes, I would say. Cotter probably got a little bit more. But it was fun to get to know them and then now see, and to be honest, I didn't know much about your brother other than I was just coaching basketball.
Yeah.
And then go, this kid's kind of sharp. And I think Kyle was like, yeah, he's like this guy,
Yeah.
He's student council, he's valedictorian, he's
Yeah,
this
he's
and that. I'm
all
like,
these
oh, well, that makes sense. He's a pretty smart kid. So anyway, just kind of a fun sidetrack there to
Little tangent.
Yeah, it's funny as
No.
an old guy, but you mentioned about your brother, and like I said, I met him with a guy with a passion for basketball. I mean, he loved it. He
Yeah, I
loved
mean,
basketball.
I think he still definitely does. I mean, he'll definitely meet me at the. He'll take me outside somewhere, and we'll go to the I think Roy Vista courts, and
Those courts are rough. Those
he'll
courts have seen better days.
he'll beat me. He'll destroy me probably. I mean, I'm not the best basketball player. I'm probably beat me at soccer too. I mean, it is what it is. It's whatever. He's an older brother. I guess he kind of has to have that better
Yeah.
aspect of him. But it is what it is. It is whatever.
But I'll tell you this, I'm actually glad to hear that he has maintained his other passions, because I'll tell you, as an old guy, you end up kind of losing sight of the things you enjoy pursuing, some form of career or education, whatever else, and all of a sudden you kind of wake up and go, man, I don't do any of the stuff I like anymore.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he's got a little balance there, and that's
why-
something for you to keep in mind as you go on. You're going to have to really put your head down and grind in life, but you also
You gotta
you
find
come out
out
of it who
what
you
you're fun
are.
with, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, we'll check some of these. Are you going to scroll them comments, Arganda, or?
Yeah, I can put them up there if you want to look at them.
Yeah, it looks like
Get them up there.
really just a little bit of commentary about
in the right
glad they got it worked out.
second. Yeah. Right about here. You guys will be able to read them, so you go ahead. This was about the shortening. of that.
So scroll down when we tell you, but we kind of talked about this. You had mentioned that even in the early beginning, you guys would have been willing to adjust speech times or work within parameters had that been presented. I think that was jumping the gun on us, Arganda. So I think that was discussed, right? That
Yeah.
was something that, were they open to moving other things around in the graduation?
I mean, I'm not even sure that at this point time is really a constraint from
Right.
what I know, considering that we're going to have even an additional speech at this point. So I think it was more just the fact of like why we were so, apt to go to the board and, speak out about this was because we were kind of just, this was kind of just sprung on top of us. We weren't given any heads up of
Right.
like, hey, this is kind of what we're deciding. Hey, this is what.
Do you think there
our
was
idea
any?
is.
Do you think there was any issue with the content of speeches? Were they trying to?
From what I know, and even what our principal said to us, she was saying that, them the speeches kind of being the same thing, and they can kind of get redundant sometimes. So she wanted us to work with one another and trying to create speeches that are, giving different messages, and but still speaking to our story in general.
There were several speeches at last year's graduation, and there were some, which they were their legitimate high school experiences, seemed to be a little negative,
Yeah.
And so I don't know if there was some reaction to, we don't like that in our graduation, let's control this more. Did you feel like that was any part of this whole thing?
I'm not even too sure about the speeches last year. I just remember our Mr. Drexler speech. I think it was about turkeys. I remember that being the general thing.
Yeah.
But with some of
Nice
the
job,
speech,
Drexler.
no, I mean I liked the speech in general. I thought.
Well, you remembered it. That's half the battle.
I mean, I liked it a lot. But with some of the speeches last year, I know that some of the issue was that again, it was just kind of redundant by some point, and a lot of people were, from what she was saying to me, is that people were hearing basically the same thing, but just in like different words.
Yeah. Everybody use the same AI for it or what?
I mean, I wouldn't take
I don't think
that.
AI was quite that popular.
I
back
wouldn't
then,
take
but-
that out of the realm of possibility. But, I think it was just like, by some point, people were like, okay, is this the same speech or
Yeah.
is this just yeah, exactly. It was just, is this the same speech or is this just a different person?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that too. What else did you have for us, Arganda?
Oh, let's see. Let's get back to that. Okay. There's a long one.
I see. I switched off of it. Sorry, I had it on my phone, but so I'm not phoning you here. I'm just trying to keep
No, you're all good.
with the live. So
I think I saw one of them was about cutting the music in half.
Yeah, that was the first one, and then this was the second one.
oh, here's a good one. One of the best students I've ever had the pleasure of being around. That's
Dave Lewis.
nice.
I know the guy.
Lipinski.
Lipinski said that?
Yeah.
That's my, he's probably my #1 supporter from Mohave for sure. He was behind, I think, all of us valedictorians and everybody just in general. I don't think he necessarily wanted us to get to this point. I think he did want us to kind of just not blow this up in a way, but I think he respected the fact that we did and kind of just made this our own thing, and he kind of just supported us along the way and everything.
Yeah, Lipinski has been there for a very long time.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you, he's been in the things that I needed help with so I'll tell you, not that you asked or anybody else asked, but when I got up to Mohave, I got there a year before all my football guys got there. We had asked about what we were going to do and this and that, and I had some guys that were older that were going into high school. And so I got up there, and I just, as a football guy, there's just so many things lacking. And so I had to figure out how to navigate around this, that, and the other thing. I think over the course of 6 or 7 years, I think we had 7 or 8 athletic directors. So it's hard to get any continuity there. And Lipinski was critical in helping us survive and supporting us through student council and just helping us get things going. When you kind of get to a place in the football programs in a whole, maybe not funny. I think they fundraise just fine, but having someone like that around who, the guy put his own time in, his own sweat equity. The guy works his butt off.
I would say Lipinski is like the rock of Mohave.
Yes.
He's everywhere and anywhere you need him to be. He's always just been that person that we've always needed, especially in student council. He makes sure not just ourselves, but himself, keeping everybody up on track, and making sure that everybody is being as active and as useful they can be in student council. Especially.
Yeah, I think he has a great vision for what he'd like to have happen. I know it's tough to always put together, but everything that we ever tried to do in terms of spirit or school involvement or whatever else, no questions asked, he'd support it. And some went good, some went bad. But a guy like that is really great to have around. Such a great cause. I went to the wait. Oh yeah. Yeah, Tanya, I couldn't agree more. This is a great cause to pick up. There's a lot of things that a lot of things worth fighting for, and this is one. You're gonna have one graduation, one high school, one high school
for the rest of my
experience,
life,
and to not fight for it to go the way that you feel like it should have went. Like I said, I think people in the comments are spot on.
A lot of them are on the news channel.
Yeah, if you got that up, you can pop it up there.
Well, I'll just tell you.
So we broadcast this out on Jeff's news channel, our page, Spotify, YouTube. So we can't really collect all the comments from everywhere, but I think the consensus is good for you.
Yeah, basically.
Cooler heads prevailed.
Yeah.
Like you worked it out, and that's the way things should be.
No, I think this was the best case scenario in the sense of how the outcome was. I think it's great that finally, the valedictorians got our speeches back, student body president, senior class president speeches got our back, and we even got a new speech going on, and we give someone else an opportunity to speak out, and again, my principal was telling me, giving that achievement for all, truly speaking to that name and that motto, and giving everybody that opportunity. I think that's probably the best thing that could have came out of this.
Do you feel extra pressure to nail your speech now?
A little bit, actually. I can't lie. I feel like I can't, I talk a big game.
No pressure, guys, but you got to nail it now.
No, I talked a big game. I gotta deliver for sure.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, I think we're pretty well covered on this subject. Tell me a little bit about being student body, and again, I'm not a school guy, student body president, not senior class, student body. What was that experience like? What did you get to do? What did you learn from it? Tell me a little bit about that.
I mean, having my brother being a past student body president does give me a little bit of kind of an intro to what it's like, those long hours, going to
a lot of long hours.
Going to those mandatory games that we'll have for sports, or making sure that we're creating events that are not just beneficial for our student council and our fundraising, but just for the entire school. Just getting to be student body president in the first place was a journey in itself. I mean, I always had the vision of being student body president, but I think
they didn't just hand it to you when you got there.
Oh no, I really wish I didn't have to campaign as much as I did. But I think putting that much work into being student body president gave it that much more meaning to itself. Yeah. It made me want to put that much more work into giving everybody that high school experience that I feel like I was able to get, my freshman year with my student body president or my sophomore or even my junior year. I think Kingston Keys was student body president, and he was probably one of my best role models going into my senior year of what I aspired to be and who I wanted to represent myself as. And I think coming out of going into second semester, I think my biggest thing now is that I want to be leaving a legacy and leaving a name for myself, and not just as the person who fought for student speeches, but someone who leaving a different culture on campus, one that is more about like our new motto being rise above, and just speaking to that in general.
Yeah, Kingston was a good role model for that, and I tried to get him to play football.
Yeah, really?
He would have been awesome.
No, I mean he was on our
Oh,
team.
he would have been awesome.
That guy's he's an athletic freak of nature. I can't
Oh,
lie.
he is. But I'll tell you this, one thing I really admire about him is he'd be in season or whatever, and he'd be in the gym at like 5:30 in the morning when I got there. And I kid you not, he's the only person other than like old ladies on the treadmill that I've ever seen bring a book with him to the gym.
Really?
He'd be sitting there, he'd be reading his book, sit it down, do a set of whatever he's doing, get back, read his book. And,
No, that sounds exactly like him.
It sounds, I mean, it's like kind of like if you're writing a story or a movie or a, whatever about an athlete, that's how you'd write it, like
Yeah.
this guy's doing all the extra stuff.
He's doing
Rah,
everything.
rah, rah. And he really was,
Yeah.
And, I mean, maybe he had comic books stuffed in between the pages and I didn't know what he was looking at or whatever.
His phone in between the books.
Yeah, his phone was in there watching TikTok. But those are the extra hour things. The other kids aren't getting up at 5 a.m. and doing their homework or studying while they're working out, while playing sports, while doing this, that people don't necessarily see at those speeches.
Yeah.
And I think that it's really tough to get to know so many kids. When I was around that school, it was one of the hardest things is you meet so many great kids that have so much need, and you can only do so much, and you hope that they come out and they end up like Kingston or yourself or your brother or whomever.
I mean, I think a lot of it comes from that environment you grew up with and the people that you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with the right people, you bring yourself up in an environment where you're going to be able to succeed, you're going to succeed. I mean, one quote that I think about a lot, and I even I think I wrote a paper on this about. My brother told me is how you spend your days is how you're going to live your life, and it's completely true.
It's very true.
If you're spending your days, up 12 o'clock at night playing Fortnite, you're not going to have. You're not going to have the best. You're not going to have the best future. But if you're spending your night, studying, or you're working out at the gym, or you're doing something that you're passionate about and that's going to benefit you in the future, it's going to reflect on how your life is going to be.
You know who else hears a message very similar to that every Friday? All of our employees. We very, very much believe in that. The environment you're around, your habits are who you are, and so those are messages that I'm glad you and other students are learning early on, because it's very true and very accurate.
Yeah.
And we have, we won't mention any names because I got to go back to work after this, but we have salespeople who they go as their habits go. When they're happy, in a good mood, they're going to the gym, they're getting up early, they're productive at work, they eat a good meal, and then they get off those habits, and then lo and behold, somehow while doing less, they're less productive.
Yeah.
And then they look at themselves in the mirror, they got to snap out of it a little bit. Something's got to give, you got to right the ship, and you get right back to it, and that's kind of universal for everything.
Yeah, nobody's perfect. I mean, I've definitely have found myself, getting into sort of a slump and kind of falling off the horse in a way, and kind of just, maybe I'm not doing as much as I can for student council, or maybe I'm not putting as much work as I can into my sports and soccer and giving my 100% to my team, or maybe I'm not studying enough for this next test I got coming up. And just those things can really, it has a domino effect. It can kind of just, everything can kind of just fall apart at once, and it's important to kind of just, it is also important to, take a second to gather yourself and to reassess your goals and see what you really want out of your future in general.
Yeah, it's great advice. I got one more thing for you to let you go. I don't know how much time you had dedicated to this.
No, you're all good.
I don't even know what time we started, Arganda, to be honest.
We're about 45 minutes into
All right, so we're not out of the realm of our normal length here, but you'd mentioned your mom.
Yes.
Very active, very proud, very vocal. How proud was she that you guys came together and got this thing done? What was that conversation like with Mom?
Well, she really did kind of want to.
Was she standing outside with a pitchfork? She was
No,
like
I
ready to
mean,
go?
she didn't really know too much about this because I know my mom very well. And so I knew if I kind of brought this to her, she was going to like blow it up, kind of
Yeah.
like she did. And so, and not a selfish way, I did kind of want to make sure that I was giving this my best foot forward and kind of trying to handle this the best way possible. But I also know my mom and how much she respects me as well and respects, the decisions that I make. And so when I told her that, hey, I want to go speak at the board meeting and I kind of want to try and handle this myself first, she was like, okay. She gave me, and she wanted me to kind of, and I think she also did want to give me the independence in trying solving this myself. But then, after the fact of, coming back from the board meeting and we're talking and she's like, okay, Adrian, I really, really want to blow this up all over, Facebook because this is really going to come down to public pressure, like we were talking about. And so with that, she kind of was obviously very proud of what I was able to accomplish and what I was able to do. But then she was like, okay, Adrian, you got to make sure you got to get everybody's signing your petition. You got to make sure everybody's talking about this. You got to make sure every teacher's on board with you. And it was just like, it's always been amazing to see my mom always so passionate about the things that I'm passionate about. And it's always been amazing to have that sort of person supporting me.
Well, you know what she's passionate about, right?
Well, yeah.
She's passionate about her family.
Well, that's for sure. I don't think there's any way I could ever question how much love and how much care my mom has for me and my family, and especially her sons. Being a boy mom definitely helped with that and making sure that, she's supporting her sons in every way possible. And I think my mom's always been the best person to have at my side in general.
Yeah, absolutely. Hard to argue with that. I think she's done a great job, and I'm sure she's very proud. Young man, I appreciate it. I'm glad to know, as an old guy who thinks the world's ending half the time, that there's people like you out there.
Thank you.
And a lot of your, students and other folks that are of the, like mind and intent. And I appreciate taking some time to come down and talk to us, man.
No,
if you ever want to come back anytime.
No, hopefully with this new acceptance I got, we didn't even get to touch on that. I kind of did.
Oh, yeah, hold on. Let's pump the brakes.
I did want to talk about that a little bit.
We don't have a picture of that, do we?
No, I don't think I gave a picture.
Hold on, wait a second. You tell us about it. I think I saw a picture somewhere.
What day was it? Friday. I got home from my Prescott game. We got shut out, sadly. 9-0. Wasn't the best thing to come home from. But early action results came out from.
You got a camera on me, Argonda?
Yeah, all you have to let me see it. Yeah.
Early action results come from my #1 school, my dream school, probably USC. And I get accepted. I got accepted into USC early action. I'll be studying political science.
Oh, I'm lost it. I'll be right back there.
Class of 2030. So go Trojans. Fight on.
Congratulations, man.
So hopefully now I got to just kind of stack up that scholarship money because, California school ain't very cheap.
No, it's not going to be very cheap.
But this is something I talked with my mom since my sophomore year about and getting into and accomplishing.
Very cool, man.
This was like a surreal experience. It's probably the most shocking thing to happen to me in forever. USC, you want my honest answer?
Weather. Yes, I definitely want your honest answer.
Rival school of Notre Dame.
Nice.
It's, to be fair, I love my brother and everything, but, I do got to give him some run for his money in some ways. So, going to USC in general, it's
going to make Thanksgiving interesting.
That's for sure. Also, to be fair, I do just love the school in general.
Yeah.
All the alumni that's gone there. You got Will Ferrell, you got George Lucas, the creator of Star Wars. You got all these people. And it's just, being in that community, being in an environment where I think I'll be able to put my best foot forward and actually carry out the things that I want to accomplish in my life. And I think USC especially is just going to be that place for me.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. Congratulations. I'm glad you reminded us. You know, you get caught up in all this other stuff. And,
No, thank you. I mean, just in general, I would.
That is such a cool accomplishment. And you know, I'll tell you, as a guy who's outside of the school, who spent a little bit of time in there, you know, there's such a weird perception of, you know, these kids got issues and they're not doing this, they're not doing that. And you know, I'd go out there and I'd tell people, yeah, but man, there's amazing kids in there. You know, it's actually how we started doing our, was it sports spotlights and athlete of the week back in the day?
Yeah.
We'd go out in the community and all people do is complain, you know, and I'd say, yeah, no, that's not true, man. There's great kids out there.
No,
so
for
we
sure,
started
always.
doing athlete of the week. We did sports spotlights. We stopped doing them when the newspaper got involved in sports. We'll see how that goes. And then, you know, and then that kind of led us to doing aces and traces and all these other things. And it's literally because of, you know, the people that came before you who are like you, man. So congratulations on all your success.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to come out here and speak on this, you know. And obviously, it's just a big thanks to everybody who supported us and supported this movement. I mean, it means the world to me. I mean, 900 signatures is not a small number. It does
Could almost
take
run
a
for public
village,
office
like I
with
said.
I don't even think you need that many for public office, do you?
One day in the future, maybe, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully. And I'll tell you, on my behalf, I had people reach out to me about this, and I am actually very happy that this got resolved before you got on here, because it's an entirely different conversation otherwise.
Yeah.
And instead of being reflective and looking at what you accomplished, you know, we'd be looking at what we feel is
Basically wrong with this.
right. Absolutely. So kudos to everyone involved. Again, thanks to you and student council, your valedictorian, your school, your leaders, and everyone else.
Yeah.
And appreciate you, man.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Cool. Thanks, Arganda.
All right, guys.
Welcome to Findlay Chevrolet GMC. Dependable Chevrolets, powerful GMCs, advanced technology, comfort, capability, friendly team, stress-free visits, certified service and quality you can trust. Visit us today.